Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
You are watching a Fact TV presentation of the Village of Saxtons River Trustees meeting.
Amy Howlett calling the Village of Saxtons River meeting of the Board of Trustees to order December 4th at 7 p.m. Almost everybody present in the fire department, and Fact TV, Guy Payne, Rob Wheeler, and Amy Howlett attending on Zoom. Carl, do you need any more information than those as far as identifying people?
Nope, that's
Okay.
all I need.
Okay. Are there any adjustments to the agenda this evening? Hearing none. Public comment. Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, I think you may have Art on later to speak of the alarm.
I don't believe so. I wrote to him, so I have a brief report, but go ahead. You lead off.
Well, why don't I leave that for the report? The other thing that I want to talk about was I thought it was really pretty dangerous last night with the when Main Street Arts and the kids left at 5 o'clock to walk up the street to light the tree. It was dark as hell, and we had people all over the streets, and cars were coming and going. It was pretty dangerous. And I just think in the future, we either need folks from the fire department or greater lighting that's going on, because it was dark at that intersection by the Historical Society, and you had little kids running around and feeling somewhat unsafe about what was going on. So I just think in the future, something like that, we need to have better lighting.
Matt?
In the past, we had the sheriff's department come into town and kind of cordon off an area and put their lights on to slow traffic down and have a safe area for people to move about when we were lighting the tree on the common.
How recently have we done that? I don't remember.
Not real recent, but yeah, because it was on the common, we had, obviously being out there, but I would say in the future that something like that should happen.
Yeah, but we could certainly do it. We just need to work in close concert with whoever's doing the event and make sure that there are enough voices reminding us so that we can set it up ahead. That's great feedback, Guy. I appreciate your bringing that to the board. I'm going to talk about the other item that's come to me, and that is concern over the fire alarm that went off. Maybe one of you has the date, 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
This was, go ahead, Ellen.
It was because I texted Art while it was going on because it seemed excessively long, and it was on Thursday. So whatever the date Thursday was. The 30th? The 30th, yeah, November 30th. And it was at 4:54 p.m. because I said, is the siren in Saxtons River broken? So yeah, apparently there was some problem with the community center, the alarm in the community center.
Yeah. So go ahead, Matt.
So as people have heard, the alarm is hooked into the fire safety devices in the community center. And as Art has said at a couple of annual meetings, if it goes off for an excessive amount of time, dial 911 and report it, and it'll be taken care of.
Yeah. So that's the gist of what I have as well, that somebody apparently set off the alarm inside 24 Main Street.
Yeah.
And I get all my news from Facebook, what can I tell you? But that as soon as the call was made to 911, the fire alarm was turned off. I'm sure I've been there at the annual meeting when that was said. I did not take it in. I don't know if we have a better way to get the word out. I suppose when this happens, we're all reminded, but something any one of us could have stopped. But I gather it went on for a while and upset a number of people.
Yeah. Is there any reason why fire trucks or there were no emergency vehicles showed up? So is there a distinction between one alarm versus another?
I would assume so. But you'd have to inquire with the chief about that.
The only information, I wrote to Art Smith as soon as I realized this should be on the agenda. And he said just what I've told you, that when the alarm is triggered inside the building, then it will continue to run. And, you know, it could be triggered inside the building for legitimate reasons. There's a big fire there. It will continue to ring. It will continue to sound until someone calls 911. Any other comments? Okay, moving on. Inessa has joined us extremely promptly, and we have treasurer update as the fourth item on the agenda. Thanks, Inessa.
Sorry, I'm a little late, but I guess I'm on time. Hi, everybody. I have just a very short update. Still working with Ron Smith on setting up our chart of accounts. He's still not feeling well. So I proposed to him that because our QuickBooks online subscription will be due for renewal at the end of December, I think I will try to move on to a desktop rather and set up, you know, whatever chart of accounts we need to set up and run by him, and then have his opinion and journal entries, you know, according to his professional opinion, to do it for us. So he liked the plan, and we're thinking to reconnect sometime in January. Hopefully he'll feel better with his Lyme disease. So that's the plan so far. I hope you guys all okay.
So I see a question from Matt. Go ahead.
Yeah, why are we moving from QuickBooks to something other? So are we hiring someone else to do the books, or I'm a little confused? Okay.
No, we're not moving from QuickBooks. We're moving from online version to a desktop.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a financial consideration there? Is one of them more expensive than the other?
I think they're the same. I don't have the pricing yet.
Okay.
Of course, I will run the pricing for you guys. But it is more friendly, user friendly. The desktop, the online is whatnot, like an app, and it's very hard to maneuver around it. I mean, it's a learning curve for me. I don't mind, but it will be easier and speed up time to have a desktop, just a normal version, like I used to work on. So yeah, but we are still staying with the QuickBooks. Nothing changes. So did not hear from our auditors yet. So hopefully sometime in December. Don't know. Don't have any update, but I am ready. And keeping receiving the payments a little bit. I just sent out at the end of November about 28 people who are delinquent in sewer fee. So I sent out like a reminder letter, you know, friendly reminder in the mail for everybody. Hopefully it will generate some interest to make payments.
Great.
yeah, so working with the same with Dave Moore on that, and he's very helpful. So yeah. Amy, I need to follow up with the check to Marty. I did not do that yet. So I need to make a payment of 5,000 for Marty at the Rockingham Health Center there. What's the name for it?
Oh, the Greater Rock
Right.
payment for the
Yeah.
boiler project.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is not complete yet. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Inessa? Go ahead, Matt.
How many people do you say you were sending out notices to?
About 28.
28.
28. Mhm.
Thank you.
I think I can see everybody, but Kristen, I actually don't have you, so you're going to have to be vigorous if you want to be recognized. Yeah.
Turn a little bit more. Come on down. Two of you.
And any other questions? Okay, thank you, Inessa. That's helpful. I'll just mention one other thing. I am working, I'm planning to work with Inessa and probably Ellen to put together a retrospective of what we have spent in the last 5 years on the Saxtons River Fire Department. This is something the Triton study wants from us. And I think it's actually going to be helpful to the village, quite aside from the need to do it for the feasibility study. So I'm planning on working on that next week. Okay, I think we're ready for item 5, the ARPA deadline. So with apologies, I feel like I'm in kind of quick reaction city here. Soon after our last meeting, where I reported to all of you that we had 2024 to determine how we were going to spend our ARPA funds. Shortly after that moment in time, the League of Cities and Towns sent a notice to everyone saying, if you're smart, you'll make your decisions by March and report on them during the March period. So I'm not here to force a decision now, but to tell you that it's looking like January, February, and early March is when we should be making our decisions. So I will try and pull together the materials that Matt has been sending us. Ellen, I know, has some interests in the rec area. I have some old materials. So I'll try and have that plus an account of what we've spent so that we can move forward on that. The paperwork for reporting is not arduous, but you have to know what you're doing. I've done it twice now, so I'm not too worried about that. So I'm not urging you to make decisions in January, just pointing out that we need to be moving forward. Any questions? Yes, Matt.
Come on, just Matt, huh?
Well, that's the only one I'm seeing, but go ahead.
No, good job. Good job. That's so what is our remaining balance? I know we had it at the last one. I didn't write it down on the
I
ARPA.
didn't write it down either. I just came to tell you the deadline.
Okay.
I think it's about 40,000,
Okay. About 40,000.
I think.
And what are we thinking about this quote for cleaning down the sewer plant?
I did have a question.
Go ahead.
So we'll get to that in a minute if you, or I mean, I can give it to you now. The quote that Rob Wheeler found for the wastewater treatment plant is $980, which is amazing, Rob. We were quoted, I went back to look it up because I was so astonished. ServPro quoted us $6,000 in 2021. And I can't tell if that was also to replace the tiles, but the wording that I found just talked about cleaning off the mold. So good for you. Was I scrupulous enough to send that quote to everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Rob, you
good.
add to that?
I'm sorry, what? Was there a comment about the quote?
No, I was asking Rob if he had any input on that quote.
No, it's Don Hashem right here in Bellows Falls.
Yeah.
He cleans the town hall, so I asked him to give us a quote to see what he could do on the seal, and that's what he gave us. So I don't see any issues with it. He was interested in doing it, so
something that should happen now?
Yeah,
So-
I'm thinking so. I don't think it's got any worse than when it was, 2 years ago. So I think with the air exchange that we have set up now, I think it's at its, kind of dormant stage or whatever. Now I think it's just time to clean it and see, hopefully, clean it and we won't have to, it will never come back again now that we have the air exchange on the timer. So, and I haven't seen in the last, since we've had that, I haven't seen any of the droplets on the ceiling like we had before, the moisture. So I think it's a good thing. I think we're in the right direction. I think it's time to clean it up. And I think that's a good bid to do it with.
Okay.
So, and somebody had put it on the pay to pay. So I don't know if it
Yep.
hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet. So
I was like,
She's quick, isn't she?
just allocated the money. I'm taking it off the, well, it's an invoice and I'm very literal.
Wait till we get to, I think we should discuss this under wastewater treatment plant unless you're eager to discuss it under ARPA deadline. Let's wait, if you're okay with that, Rob.
that's fine.
Okay,
Let's
So-
like to discuss it under ARPA.
you want to discuss it now?
Sure, under ARPA. And I think
Okay.
Chris had a question.
I did have a question, but not related to this particular, it's a general question about ARPA. I did print out that little quick reference guide. When we're thinking about what money we're going to use the funds for, do we, by March, or whenever, December, do we have to actually have like a contract or an invoice or something specific? That's what we're trying to decide in March. So if we're thinking of other things, they need to be like a specific request for services with a estimate, and then we decide, yep, we're gonna do it. Do you understand my
So-
question?
I do understand your question. It turns out to be a little more complicated than it was a year ago. There was a federal interim rule that basically all Vermont communities chose to follow, which turned ARPA funds into the kind of funding that municipal boards are used to using. So in other words, if you could spend tax money on something, you could spend ARPA money on something. And that doesn't answer your question exactly, but the newest information that I've started to look at from the League of Cities and Towns makes it seem as if that implication goes even deeper, so that we could make a decision that would give us more flexibility than I had initially assumed. What I assumed initially was, you would say, we're going to spend $93,000 to refurbish the rescue truck. And we know that's an estimate, and it might come in high or it might come in low. But what we were reporting on to ARPA was our intention to spend the money in that way. I don't know what happens the following 2 years, when you actually carry out your plans. And that may be just that I haven't asked Katie Buckley for specifics about that. It's a great question, Kristen. And I guess the answer is, I don't know.
Okay.
Matt,
I'll make a motion to spend $980 to remove the mold and dirt from the ceiling in the inflow room at the Saxtons River wastewater treatment plant.
and how do you plan to pay for that removal?
From the ARPA fund. Excuse me.
Is now back on the warrant.
Wait, Ellen.
No, I know, I'm just kidding.
So my understanding is that Matt has moved to remove the mold and dirt from the wastewater treatment plant ceiling using ARPA funds. Is that the gist of your motion?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Carl seconds. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Discussion.
I think it's a good deal for $980.
I think it's a good deal. My only question is, we do have capital funds available for the wastewater treatment plant. Do we want to take it? Do we want to take the $1,000 from ARPA? Or it's $980. I guess I should be specific.
I don't see why we couldn't use capital funds unless somebody had an objection. Then we just are able to share more of the ARPA funds around.
I think it's a good idea to do it now when we have the quote of 980. But I don't have a strong preference to which funds.
Matt, your preference is ARPA rather than other funds under village control?
Currently, yes.
I have a question.
Kristen?
I'd be inclined to use the ARPA funds if otherwise it means we have to wait for another meeting because it's not an agenda item. I think it makes sense to vote to do the work.
Well, that's a valid point.
Yeah, we don't have it specifically on here as an ARPA funder, but it's a good point.
Under new information.
Well, in the past, when we've done the wastewater treatment plant updates, haven't we acted on new funding requests under that item on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that we could handle it in under either category and be okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's good. That works for me. I thought that you might slow us down, Carl, and require more bids. I actually love this bid, given that we've used ServPro for a bid previously, and the differential is so different. And I also like very much that it's a local bid to get the work done. So I'm like Kristen, I'm eager to give the go-ahead for the work. I'm just curious about which fund to use it in, which fund to draw on to pay for it.
I don't think we need to go out hunting other bids. We have two, this one and ServPro.
Okay.
Do we
Check.
need?
No.
Under ARPA. We're just allocating the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we in general, when we get work done, we have a policy that drives us towards getting bids. It allows us to make other suggestions, but we had to pass that policy when we went through the whole wastewater treatment plant business. Well, what do you think? Are you ready for a vote?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to remove mold and dirt from the wastewater treatment plant ceiling for $980 using ARPA funds, indicate with a show of hands. Looks like it's unanimous. It is unanimous and the motion passes. Okay, Inessa, $980 to be spent from the ARPA funds. I don't know that we copied you with this bid, so I'll make sure that gets forwarded to you.
Right.
Rob, will you work with the contractor?
Yeah, I'll work with Don, and then I'm sure he'll give us an invoice that we can pay him when he's done the work. So don't pay.
Great.
That was just a quote that he gave us.
Whoa, whoa back there, Alan. Whoa.
Here we go. Look at those.
I mean, if it's easy, like just send in an invoice, I'll start making them up. You know?
It is an invoice. That's what it says.
I know. I got them coming.
I thought, wow, we got a good deal. We went ahead. We must have missed the memo.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready to move on to the village map? Okay, Kristen, this was your item, so we're gonna give you the first voice on it.
I was just looking to see if anything has happened. I had, my recollection was somebody was gonna work on one and get back to us.
The map?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, and it would
That
be,
was Peter Bergstrom, right?
Yep. So I just got the most recent email regarding the village map today. Peter Bergstrom had offered to contact Jeff Nugent at the Wyndham Regional Commission, which he did. Jeff Nugent sent along, I think they're PDFs. I haven't tried to open them. And copied Gary Fox as the planning person for maps for the town of Rockingham. And Gary asked if the maps could be please considered by the planning commission before the village of Saxtons River weighed in on them. So interesting how these things play out. I can forward you the maps, the email that purports to have the maps. But apparently, but I should also send you Gary's request that, you know, if we want to weigh in on them, we can. But he would prefer that the planning commission look them over first. Is that clear? Have I made myself clear?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand why.
Yeah, right.
The
village owns certain properties. That's what it is. But they need to review them to make sure that they're the correct properties.
I think it depends upon the map. And the reason why I say that, I know that sounds like a silly thing, but if it's considered the historical district map, that is different from other maps. I just know that because of my house, because I'm considered the historical district. However, the post office considers me Bellows Falls, and I have a Bellows Falls zip code.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. I have to pay for my P.O. box.
Really?
I do. I've talked to them.
Yeah, but the village limits go up around the corner.
No, it stops now.
Amy's also left a meeting too, so FYI. Her thing froze and now she's gone, so I don't know. She's trying to log back.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up.
It's yours, Carol. It's all you, Carol.
Run.
Okay.
What else do you want, Rob? All right, Carl. Well, I guess it's you. Do we have an ADA committee?
wait, hold on. So we'll ask Amy to send the email to us.
Yeah, and the maps.
Yeah, it's kind of,
Yeah, it's annoying.
but it's kind of odd that they weren't on the maps to begin with. Village property.
Yeah.
What were the maps about?
Well, the
I missed
village of Saxon River owns properties that are not listed on the town of Rockingham maps, such as the rec area and the further up Pleasant Valley Road. There's Caesar Camp, ponds up there that the village owns now.
Right.
What rec area? So those were just not even listed, and where else wasn't listed?
Okay.
But also looking just to have an easy viewable format of
Amy's
the
calling.
town boundaries, the village boundaries, and the
Hey.
property that village owns.
Yeah.
Switch to AAA insurance today, and you can save an average of $483 a month.
Oh, okay. Amy's lost connection. She said to keep going without her.
Okay.
What are they trying to say?
I can put you on speakerphone. All right, hold on. Amy, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
And are you still recording?
Yes, it's still recording. The button is still lit.
All right, we're on to number 6.
So we did ask you to forward the emails to us regarding the maps.
So what did you ask for, the email?
Yeah,
Yes.
with the maps.
And Gary's request.
So I'll send it when I get off. I don't think I have the ability to, do it for my setup here.
Fine.
That's fine.
Kristen, was there a time sensitive issue? I mean, I know you're following up on it.
No, there
Do
was
you need to see it promptly?
no, I do not.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Well, good follow up, and obviously other people are concerned about it as well. So, I'll make a note here, send map and Fox comments to all trustees.
Mm-hmm.
So, number 7, the ADA committee. So, with your permission, I'd like to start putting together a committee to look at our services, our policies, and our meeting places, in terms of making sure that we are accessible. The suggestion of the folk wisdom, if you will, finds people with disabilities to serve on such a committee. So it'll take some poking around, but if you're okay with this idea, we announce it. I'll put it on Front Page Forum. I'll put it on the Facebook page, and I'll come back to you for approval once we have a committee and have pretty much lined out some of the basic areas the committee would like to consider.
So what is the or maybe this is to be determined, but what is the charge to the committee?
The charge to the committee would be to examine the policies, the place we meet, and the services of the Saxtons River Village trustees to make sure they are accessible. So the ADA is the Americans with Disabilities Act, and making sure that the way we function is accessible to our public is a recommendation that I'm interested in pursuing.
So the committee would then get back to us with what, a review of what our status is, or recommendations for us to.
Right. So having a plan, which, might say something like the threshold of the fire department measures 4 inches. The width of the door into the fire department meeting room for the Saxtons River trustees measures 36.5 inches. The door is adequate for a wheelchair, but the threshold provides difficulty. So it's, and when you're done with your assessment, it gives you an idea of what the most important issues are to work on. So, for example, if the threshold is the problem, then there might be effective accommodations that we can make that would get people in and out over that threshold. If the width of the door is the problem, and I'm picking wheelchair because that's about the only one I know, but obviously somebody with a cane might have different issues. Somebody with visual difficulties or manual difficulties might have issues with the web page, but having a starting place allows you to decide that, first of all, it meets our legal obligations,
And secondly, it allows you to decide which the most important issues are for the village to begin addressing.
I had a question about the first part of it. You said policies. That so is this something that's
straight out of the language that I've been hearing in the seminar? I don't know actually what that means,
okay?
Matt. I guess, and how many policies do we have? I don't know. We have a
Right.
procurement policy.
Sounds
That's
like
it.
a big document coming. Okay, thank you.
And are you considering having this committee look at questions about our village annual meeting locations or? Okay,
That's someplace, that's another place. I mean, I think in the broadest, most general sense, we've already had that meeting. Well, at least in the last 5 years, that meeting has been in a place that is broadly accessible.
Right.
You know, there is an elevator available. Wheelchairs can come in and out. To that extent, I know we're accessible. Whether we would have to consider offering the annual report in a different format, that might be something. You know, this is new territory for me. I freely admit it, Carl. What I'm asking for is your approval on putting together a committee to begin looking at these issues.
That would
Yeah.
that are going to report back to the trustees with suggestions or some type of report.
Yeah, I think the word that I like is plan, but not with the idea that things need to be accomplished, you know, right here, right now.
Okay.
So you know I can't see your hands if you're waving them at me.
We're waving goodbye as we go out the door.
Okay, are we done with the agency?
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So I think everybody said yes.
What did I miss?
No, I don't have my paperwork here.
What did you miss?
Presentation on
The 14 neighborhoods
Yeah.
in Rockingham.
Yeah.
Is that Bridgeway?
No, this was Paul Noble
Right.
was asked to come in, I guess, and discuss what the town listers do in the history of it and the history of the history of it.
Right.
And for 55 minutes, I think it was.
it was interesting though.
It was very interesting what they do, and they serve the people of the town of Rockingham first, and they don't answer to or are governed by the town manager or the select board.
Right.
But there's an Act 68 that is
Mhm.
the town of the state of Vermont is trying to take over all of these, a lot of
Yeah, and then
the authority there.
Make it centralized.
Yeah,
Right.
make it centralized, and which didn't sound great.
no, and like
So
bringing up
uniform
one-
appraisals
Yeah,
done in Montpelier or Burlington.
right, and they didn't have enough staff to accommodate that, let alone what we currently have for staff for listers isn't even enough.
Yeah.
So there was a big uproar from people in Vermont about this moving to Montpelier. So then they were adapting it, if I remember correctly.
did all kinds of stuff there.
Yeah.
Gyrated all over the place. Yeah.
So we haven't, has anything changed at this point?
No, nothing has changed.
No,
Not yet,
Mm-mm.
but it seems like it's imminent to
No, I
some
think
degree.
It's under, I think the state is relooking at it because enough towns have expressed dismay over the idea of centralizing everything.
Okay. Anything else, or should we move to committee updates?
Well, committee updates. Be
I
fine.
would
Go ahead.
just,
Okay.
I would just, before we get on, Matt brought up at the tri-board the paving and sidewalk issues. And I personally didn't think we got much of a response.
No, we didn't.
And I'm a little bit dissatisfied by that and think that we should pursue it further and wondering how.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Amy, I invited the Rockingham Select Board to come out and walk around the sidewalks in Saxtons River. One of them asked which ones. I said all of them. I had reported that I was dissatisfied that our sidewalks are not up to standards and that we are not getting the treatment that Bellows Falls is getting with streets, road paving and sidewalks. And yeah, it kind of stopped there. They didn't, they weren't overwhelming, but I think we need to push the Rockingham Select Board to come out. They can't.
I'm back with you, so you can hang up, Ellen.
Yep.
So they can't come
We
out.
need to push the Rockingham Select Board.
Yeah, we need to get them out here and walk them around these streets because we're not getting serviced. We haven't gotten serviced on the sidewalks. They're not building them to today's standards. They're doing that in Bellows Falls, left, right, and center. And I just think that we are forgotten because we're not making enough noise. And I think they need to be pushed and pushed and pushed every time that they can be. And there was supposed to be a sidewalk project this year going up Westminster Street to the Warner Center, but weather-wise, they couldn't get to it, I guess. So we lose a year, and maybe they'll do it next year, but this seems to happen year after year, and then there's a consideration of budgets and, you know, tax dollars and such, but they do major projects in Bellows Falls, and they don't do them here. And our sidewalks are so dangerous. Just walk around them, and it's mind-boggling. Go up Pleasant Street on both sides, and they're just not safe.
Yeah, I have in my in the trustee filing cabinet, you've heard me refer to it before, the sidewalk report that you and Andy compiled, Matt. And I'm happy to get that out and send that around again if you think it's appropriate.
Right. So they have a third party, I guess you would call it, or an outside entity that is assessing the roads and assessing the sidewalks. And I asked Scott, I said, is this including Saxtons River? And his answer was, I think so. So again, I know there's
my understanding is that it does include us.
It does or does not?
It does.
Well, it should. We are in the town of Rockingham, but it's just, we need to be making a lot more noise with the town of Rockingham Select Board because nothing is being done on the sidewalks. And they're atrocious. I mean, look at the ones in front of the Historical Society, right level with the road. Everyone in Bellows Falls is above the road level, which it should be. And, you know, Pleasant Street, Academy Ave, right here on 121, it's just all of them. What's this street up here next to the post office? Grove Street. Walk up that thing. It's a cow. It's just, yeah. They need to be contacted and pushed every single year.
I think they need to be a lot more forthcoming in communicating.
I thought Scott agreed to come out and walk with you.
No, not this year. He did last year with Andy.
Oh, I thought you meant at the meeting because he.
No, he was gonna, because I complained about Pleasant Street.
Mhm.
And I said how shoddy that shim coat and the chip seal is done, and these big squares around the manholes. And the drainage, you go up on the left-hand side and there's water standing. You can't get to the storm drain because they frigged up the road. And it's just shoddy work. There's no engineering. There's no oversight. here in Saxon River. And he was gonna drive up there.
Yeah, because that's not, I mean, I
That's
think,
all he said is he'd take a look at it. So,
yeah, because that was under the impression that I had, because I had reached out to him and asked him after the fact, you know, like, hey, can you come look here too? And he said, sure.
well, even up by your house, the sidewalks,
It's all.
what are they, so below road level?
Yeah, and then it's like walking through, you know,
There's
Meadow.
electrical conduit sticking out of the ground. too.
yeah, I called VTEL about that years ago and it came right out, and now more is
So-
covered.
You got me going about that,
Oh dear.
but really,
So do we know when feedback goes to the Rockingham Select Board?
as far as.
Do we know when the appropriate time is to push for a budget that,
I don't know. You were pushing last year to be involved with the budget, correct? Were you working with Scott or at least having some sort of knowledge on the Rockingham budget for sidewalks and paving?
I think I missed the first part of what you said. I'm curious about when we should push. Is this the time?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. And again, I will walk around town with any board member or two board members and just show them what
Yeah.
we've got. If we don't start pushing for something every year or every other year, it's obvious that nothing is going to happen.
So does somebody want to reach out to Andy and find out, well, I'm thinking the highway department is the appropriate place to go to find out when to put when we recommend the allocation for Saxtons River?
Two things, Amy. Andy is no longer the road foreman or.
Oh, I'm behind. Okay.
We just heard that at the tri-board meeting, and I forget the new guy's name. Maybe Rob knows him. Probably Rob, you know, who's been moved up.
I believe it's Glenn.
Glenn?
Glenn.
Yeah, he was the assistant. Now he's the road foreman.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's more of the board than anything.
Okay, well, we have a very, I think, a sympathetic chair, at least until March, in Peter Golick.
Well, right, and there's others that were, well, I don't know about concerned, but they acted concerned that, I don't know how to word that. I'll stop. It's not just the chair. I would say it's the board members that need to see it. What they're going to vote on and approve or not approve is what's brought before them. Of course, it goes through the town manager before it gets there. And they, sitting at the meeting, we're hearing about big projects for sidewalks and here and there and everywhere in Bellows Falls. And I didn't hear anything about Saxons River. So I understand that's a big population, a lot of, you know, in a small area, a lot of schools, have to have good sidewalks, but we're underserved to a terrible degree out here. And I think pushing not just the chair of the select board, but the others to see what's going on, walk on the streets and hear from us is something we're going to have to do for years to come.
Okay.
It seems to me that it would be useful to have whoever this entity is that makes the recommendations be out here and look at.
Well, they're supposed to be assessing them.
Yeah,
and all the sidewalks that had not been touched are not up to today's standards. They're not
Well,
5 feet wide.
Do we know that somebody's actually come and looked at them?
I don't know that.
I think we should make sure that happens.
Well, I agree with you.
Okay, so I can ask for that report from the third party. You mentioned that, Matt.
Yeah.
my understanding was that report looks at sidewalks in all three municipalities and rates them with, what is the appropriate treatment and what are the most dangerous, and assigns both treatment and priority to them. So I'll ask for that report. I can't imagine it's secret, but I'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay, we're finishing up with the tri-board. Anything on the fire study?
Yes. What was on the fire study? They had a problem obtaining information on calls through because of the way it was reported, and so they were trying to clean that up with mutual aid, but it wasn't mutual aid. It was some glitch, and that took them forever. So Scott had requested having something by the next tri-board meeting, but the gentleman from the company said that probably wouldn't happen. He'd try to, but we probably wouldn't know anything by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next tri-board meeting is the end of January, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I think he said, just the way he put it out there, it sounded like it was pretty unlikely.
Okay. All right, anything else before we move on? We're looking at committee updates. Kristen, Merck.
No news.
Okay, fire station,
No news.
wastewater treatment plant. We already did that. Anything else we need to know about, Rob?
Well, I had done another proposal here, I think last meeting or the meeting before, for the fine screen panel,
Right.
upgrading of that. I don't know where that's at. I don't know what you did last meeting, if you approved that or not.
We approved it, didn't we? Carl, you're the master of the minutes. Am I remembering that incorrectly?
I don't have a hard copy of the minutes. It seems to me that
Then we don't go out on a limb since we have no idea, Rob. We
Okay.
discussed it and we looked at it and I have no idea what our resolution was.
hang on,
Carl.
Amy. Hang on, we're looking at the minutes.
I only look for typos. What can I tell you?
Second this.
Okay, no, we didn't act on it.
I think we had a motion and we decided that the motion failed and we agreed that we would consider it for ARPA funding at a later date.
Versus the capital reserve. What's the number on it?
I believe it was right around $1,000. I don't have the quote here in front of me. But I believe it's right around $1,000 to upgrade that panel.
I have a note also is about $1,000.
Yeah.
So what did we approve from capital reserve? Well, SCADA, right?
SCADA. Yeah, we did the SCADA upgrade. SCADA and the Win 911.
Okay. So this is the.
We didn't.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't do anything with the fine screen. That's right.
Okay. Let's do.
We talked about the rechargeable hand lights. Those were 1,000.
That's part of
Right.
it. And that's the one that we postponed,
Okay.
that we feeded and cleaned up again.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this is something that needs to be upgraded, correct, Rob?
Yeah, it's I don't know why it was never done this way, but yeah, it needs something that should be done. That way we don't have to shut the whole panel down to isolate the motors between the two.
I found it.
Was it last meeting?
It was We got in an email on November 13th, and it was a total $5,000 estimate for the DO probe and screen panel. This will be on the agenda for the November 20th meeting. It was the quote, and the individual motors on the screen panel cost $900. It's safe to say they've increased not more than 10%, so call it $1,000. A new LDO SC DO probe currently costs $1,990.
Right.
Email?
Yeah, it was an email.
So that's a $5,000 figure,
Yes,
and those are all that are needed, correct, Rob?
Well, it's just, I know you guys initially wanted to know what we wanted to spend ARPA money on.
Right.
So it would just be a spare. One would be upgrading the panel now, and the DO probe would be a spare for the SBR tanks to have.
All right, it's your pleasure. For fine screen, we should definitely. So is that coming?
What's your pleasure, group?
Is it coming out of capital reserve or is it coming out of ARPA?
Switch to AAA insurance today, and you can save an average of $483.
Tonight from there. This is another 1,000 or 5,000.
why can't it come out of the capital fund?
I would say capital fund.
You want to do all of it out of the capital fund? I mean, Rob is the one running the plant. We need the screen for 1,000, so $4,000 more to have. The other part of it is a spare, correct?
Yeah, it's just a spare, but like you said, it was. I know the ARPA funding you're looking to spend, having stuff at the plant, spend money, the ARPA money on the plant. So that's what came up with having spare parts. So, but they're readily available, so we can, if it goes bad, we can surely get another one anytime. It's just one of those things that I was asked to put stuff together for ARPA funding.
Yep.
So what I'm hearing is the DO probe is readily available, so that is not as important. Does it hang you up for a week? I mean,
yeah, I mean, each tank has a DO probe in it, so yeah, I mean, it goes down, it's definitely a problem. But I don't know if you can get them overnight or if it's a week, but I'm assuming they're readily available.
So if it's a week, that's a real problem?
Yeah, definitely, because the unit's it relies on, that's a treatment process. It relies on the DO level. It brings it to a certain level of DO and then it shuts it off. But that's how it treats the process. So, but like I said, it was just to have a spare. So like I said, I don't know how fast we can get them.
$1,000 estimate.
That's for both of them.
So,
The
What do you want to get?
it seems like it should be. I'm at a loss because I feel like it should come out of the capital reserve because we still haven't figured out what we want to do with the rest of the ARPA money.
Yeah.
We have to figure that out by March at the latest. And we are looking at maybe $40,000 worth of ARPA funds.
Right.
And I know that I wanted to see what we could do for the Saxtons River Rec area. And what were some of the other ideas that we could see ARPA funds?
Well, lots of fire equipment.
Fire equipment.
So we have plenty of capital reserve. I think we reported on.
Yes, we have a healthy balance in the capital reserve. I want to say 200,000, but
I think that that's reasonable.
I'll make a motion to spend upwards of $5,000 for the Saxtons River wastewater treatment plant to upgrade the fine screen. Is that what it is, Rob?
Yep, fine screen panel.
Fine screen panel and what's the other one?
The
Spare DO probe.
Oh, spare DO probe, which is for the
SBR tanks.
thing.
I'll second.
So I'm hearing that Matt moves to spend approximately $5,000 from the wastewater treatment plant capital reserve for the fine screen panel and the spare DO probe for the SBR tanks, and that Kristen seconds that motion. Is that the essence of it, Matt?
Yes,
To come from the capital reserve.
correct.
Okay, is there further discussion?
Carol, you all set with that?
Oh, yeah, we're fine.
Okay, hearing none, we have a motion on the floor to spend approximately $5,000 from the wastewater treatment plant capital reserves for the fine screen panel and the spare DO probe for the SBR tanks. All in favor, show of hands?
It's
I think that's
unanimous.
everybody.
Yep.
Okay, unanimous. Okay, I think that's all I have for the wastewater treatment plant. Rob, anything else we need to consider?
No, I think that's it. Unless you guys have anything else for me, I'm gonna be checking out.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay,
All right, thank you. Have a good
thanks,
night.
Rob.
Signing off.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks,
Okay.
Vanessa.
you.
I think we're up to the minutes of November 20th, 2023.
I'll make a
I'm
motion.
sorry, did I miss something?
No,
Nope. I'll make a
Okay.
motion to approve the minutes of November 20th, 2023.
I second it.
Okay, motion by Nat to approve the minutes of November 20th, seconded by Ellen. Is there any discussion? Carl, any comments?
Two corrections, one in the spelling of Matt's name. And the other in, and the other,
It's not
correct.
MATT, is it?
3 T's now. He's been promoted. And the other was that in the discussion of 37 Main, the attorney, the consultation with the attorney is consultation with Main Street Arts and not the committee.
Right. So Main Street Arts is dealing, I think it's an issue of a border with a neighbor. And
Yep.
I just got the update on that. It pertains to us because we had the committee about 37 Main, but other than that, it doesn't pertain. Okay, so we are dealing with the corrected minutes of November 20th, 2023. If there are no other questions, I'll proceed to the vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, show of hands. Okay, and it's unanimous. You have a computer with you, Kristen, so, Ellen. So am I going to have you share the screen?
Let me see if I can.
Well, wait, I need to turn it on for you first. So let's do,
Amy, I'm not sure I can, so,
whose screen have you got?
well, I have my iPad, so I'm not sure, and I have to download or update Zoom.
Just pass it around.
Okay, we'll just pass it right around the table.
Okay, great. Okay, so we are looking at the warrant for tonight's meeting, December 4th. And how many items are we looking at?
You just tell.
We have 15, we have 12, no, we have 11 items on the warrant. We did finally get the invoice from Dunbar Mowing.
Oh,
It was-
great.
It was for 19 mowings at $30 each. And it came to $570. And
Great.
he's not any more after this.
Okay,
And then-
fantastic.
The big one that was on here is USDA, because
Oh,
it's,
the loan repayment?
yeah. So there's two. There's 51,482. And then the other one is 3,872. I did mention to Inessa that I think that those are automatic withdrawals,
Yes.
just to be prepared for it.
Yep, yep. So what is the total of the warrant? The total sum?
Moving the mold cleanup was 62,811.54.
Okay, so
Make a
is,
motion to approve the warrant for $62,811.54.
okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the warrant for December 4th of 11 items in the amount of $62,811.54. Is there any further discussion of the items? All right, hearing none, I think we're ready for the vote. All in favor of approving tonight's warrant, show of hands, and it is unanimous. Okay, we are up to other business, and this is it for the month of December, right? Does anybody, oh, well, let's just do other business first. Is there any other business to bring before the village?
Other business?
Yeah,
Is that where we are?
yep.
You sent out a reminder for people not to park on the streets during snow events.
I put it on Facebook and I think Front Porch Forum. I actually printed notices to put under people's windshield wipers, but I haven't done it. There's a stack waiting for me to run down sometime. It's hard for me to be on Main Street at the appropriate time. And the other thing I did was to write to the owners of the Saxtons River Inn and to ask them to convey the information to their customers who are there, I gather, for the month of, maybe it was November, the month of November. So I don't know whether that situation is cleared up. It looked to me like our first snowstorm caught a lot of people unaware.
Yeah, it always does. And there's quite a few that are parking on the street on 121 anyways.
So, I mean, my intention is to put those sheets out and start, pushing it along. But I haven't actually done that.
5 a.m. is a good time. We walk at 5:15 and we get a clear view of all the cars.
Matt, why don't I give the sheets to you? That would be great.
Oh, I feel that would be taking something away from you, Amy, that you
Yeah, well,
only about.
Take. I never walk at 5:15. Okay, any other business?
No.
We're on to next meeting dates. The next meeting date is the evening of January 1st, which is slightly better than New Year's Eve, but what do you think?
So what are we doing? Changing it, I would assume?
Up to you. It's January 1st, but it's the evening of January 1st. It's not December 31st.
Not generally a good time to
I
have.
don't think.
Okay. Okay, so if you want to consult your, we did talk about 2 meetings in January. So are we looking at the 8th and the 22nd?
Okey-dokey.
Or the 8th and the 15th? What's your pleasure?
Not the 15th, because that's Martin Luther.
Okay. So the 8th and the 22nd?
Yes.
Yes.
January 8th and 22nd, and then the following week, the 30th, I believe we'll have the tri-board meeting. So that'll be a nice busy month. Okay. And I assume you're dying to get to discussion of ARPA. Anything else that you want to make sure we address at the first meeting of January? Of course, you're welcome to send me stuff.
We're going to start working on budget
Okay.
worksheet in
Okay,
January.
and typically, what do you do first, Carl? Is it general or wastewater treatment plant?
Typically, I think we
Get Rob
do
in the
both.
wastewater treatment plant.
we do both of them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Start working
So
on both, run through 'em.
Yeah,
okay.
we
And
generally finish the wastewater treatment plant first, but
It's the quickest.
Yeah, okay, well, we can talk about this further, but I think we're on to the magic moment of adjournment.
Did you, you should give, Rob a heads up about the budget talks for the next meeting?
I will
Okay.
send it to him.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great.
This meeting was recorded by Falls Area Community Television, located at 1 Hospital Court, Bellows Falls, Vermont. If you would like a copy of the meeting, our phone number is 802-463-1613, or email us at fact810@gmail.com. Falls Area Community TV, keeping government honest.